piece 230, Pink Panther by Jeff Koons, who's pictured right here. And this is kind of a fun one, pretty controversial actually. The form of this is that it's glazed and painted porcelain. So imagine like fine china, really breakable. It's life-sized. It is, in description here, we have a blonde bombshell, let's say. Jane Mansfield is the person here who's depicted. She was an actress, and she is topless. She is holding, some say hugging, the Pink Panther who has his paw around her. And then his tail, if you look down in the bottom left, is coyly at the top of her skirt. This is just one image in our set, and it's just her back, but the front is important to know too, because you would see this piece in the round. You'd see all sides. And so on the front side, Mansfield is holding her breast, and the idea, the reference here is that her dress has fallen down, which actually happened in real life, and I think more than once. And then she projects a radiant smile out there, and it's like she's posing for a photographer. And some would say that this is garish in design and looks factory made. Content. The Pink Panther, you have heard of the Pink Panther, I bet, was created for the start of a movie about the Pink Panther diamond, which I've shown you right here. I think it's 67.5 carats, so it's huge, and found by De Beers Diamond Company in Africa, in South Africa. And the look of this toy, stuffed toy, seems to be, he's not like happy, right? And some say he's scared. I took this thinking that he's saying to himself, what the heck am I doing in the arms of this woman? Okay. Oh, and after he appeared in this 1963 movie about the diamond, he ended up having his own television show. So he's a kid's toy. He's a kid's icon, essentially. According to Sotheby's auction house, though, this is how they see it. It is kitsch. It has sexuality, beauty, a sense of humor. They're all here. And sexuality is its driving force. Koons, who was interviewed about this piece, said, quote, art is about empowerment. And so he feels like the Pink Panther here has lost control. He's being carried off by her. He doesn't know what's going on, what's going to happen next. And Koons said, we've all been carried away by someone. And in order to move forward, we have to work on giving up control. So the Pink Panther here would have to work on giving up control. But the person who interviewed Jeff Koons said, well, probably the Pink Panther or some people would want to be carried away by this woman. Interestingly, Jeff Koons also referred to Baroque and Rococo art briefly. And so I wonder if he's thinking that this is Baroque or Rococo. And then content, although I changed the picture on you here, their garish color of the Pink Panther's piece makes it seem, some said, inexpensive and commercial art, like you'd call them figurines that you might buy at a hobby store. But they're too big to be called figurines because they're life size. And so that is what kitsch is. Kitsch is figurines that you can buy at a hobby store. They're objects that are mass produced, they're for a wide audience, and they're typically not offensive. They have innocent topics like these two right here. So anybody would look at it and not be put off by it. So Jeff Koons's work is sometimes referred to as kitsch, which is not a compliment. Context. There are other critiques of Jeff Koons that 1988 was a time period where the feminist movement was in full swing, and Koons isn't challenging, the banality. That's the name of this show was banality. He had 20 pieces in the show, and this was one of them. And instead of challenging the evil here of popular culture, quote here, he is not challenging the beauty, the banality of evil that lurked behind public and popular culture. Instead, he's keeping up with the stereotypes about women as a sex object. And so he was critiqued for that. Others say that he's actually making a commentary on commercialization. So, as I said, banality was the title of the exhibition with 20 sculptures. Here's another concern about it from critics, is that it showed at the same time in New York, Chicago, and Cologne, Italy, 3 cities at once. And then the art wasn't made by Jeff Koons. It was made by artists in workshops in Germany and Italy. Now, Jeff Koons required, perfection in the execution of this porcelain, but he didn't personally make it. So all of that swirling around the show, swirling around him, this piece, there are 4 of them in the world. One of them would have been kind of the first piece that was made. So 4 total in the world. And this one sold in 2011 for $1.8 million. Here's another piece in the banality exhibition. You might recognize Michael Jackson and his pet Bubbles, also porcelain. And then finally, I need to tell you that what came out of that show were 5 different lawsuits. This is some context for us. Art Rogers was the photographer that took this picture, and it was sold by Art Rogers to postcard and card company, greeting card companies. Jeff Koons saw the postcard. He actually cut off the copyright, enlarged it, made marks on the enlargement, and then took it to Italian artisans and said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to kind of create this into a sculpture, paint the puppies blue, put flowers in the 2 people's hair. And the artist, the photographer, Art Rogers, took Koons to court and won. This is another piece that was in that same show. And this piece, I forgot what it's called, Boy and Girl. It was taken from a 1975 photograph from a French photographer, and then Koons lost in court in France to the allegation of plagiarism. So Jeff Koons, a controversial artist in the 21st century. And if you want to watch him, he now teaches art classes online. You can pay $180. So Jeff Koons, the Pink Panther.